9 Sinister Dollar Tree Secrets Exposed. Spine-chilling horror stories that haunt your dreams. Amelia strolled into the Dollar Tree, her favorite late-night escape, the fluorescent lights flickering overhead like warning signals. Each click of her unique heels echoed in the uncharacteristically empty aisles, a sound that felt both lonely and oddly comforting. She could practically feel her paycheck slipping away, as tight as a noose around her neck. But tonight she was determined to grab a few snacks for her son, Tyler, and maybe a fun trinket that might spark some joy amidst her bleak existence. Suddenly, a glimmer of movement caught her eye. At the back of the store, a door stood slightly ajar, flickering lights spilling out like a whisper beckoning her closer. Amelia hesitated, her heart pounding in her chest. Was this a place she should venture into? Curiosity edged her forward, and she pushed the door open, revealing a hidden section of the store crammed with dusty, mysterious items. Old dolls with lifelike eyes stared back at her, their gaze piercing through the years and into her soul. Broken mirrors glittered malevolently, reflecting the distorted shapes of the room. An uneasy chill crawled down her spine. What was this place? She picked a few items, a chipped porcelain doll, a strange amulet, and an ornate mirror. Just as she convinced herself these oddities could be fun conversation starters or at least a little good luck, an unsettling chill slithered through her. She was crossing an invisible line. Once home, shadows danced at the edges of her vision. Tyler woke up screaming, gripped by nightmares of menacing figures lurking in the dark. The atmosphere in her home became thick with frost, the corners seeming to breathe with malice. Amelia's heart raced every time a soft rustle echoed through the hall, a sense of being watched growing stronger with each passing hour. That night her sleep-deprived eyes darted toward the familiar shadows, dread making her body tremble. At work the next day, she shared her fears with Jenny, her coworker and part-time cashier. Jenny leaned in, her face pale and serious. "You know about the history of the Dollar Tree?" she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. "Decades ago, a fire started in the store. I mean, they never caught the guy who did it. They say some of the souls never left." Amelia felt her stomach drop. Was she bringing something dark into her home? But she brushed off Jenny's words as overreactions of scary stories among bored employees. Yet the more she thought about it, the more her mind spiraled into paranoia. Her neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, who once brought cookies, now stared blankly through her window, mumbling about the darkness swallowing them whole. And then there was Mr. Collins, pacing his yard, his eyes wide with fear and agitation. Their once comfortable community felt like a haunted house attraction gone horribly wrong. Just then, a thought pierced through the chaos. What if the threat wasn't in the items she'd brought home but in the people around her? Amelia knew she needed answers. Gritting her teeth, she could feel panic rising with each breath, her skin prickling with fear. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Driven by desperation, she started digging. Each night brought creeping unease, shadows closing in. And then it happened. A photograph slipped from an old family album she'd forgotten about, revealing her clutching one of the items from the Dollar Tree. As she stared at the image, she felt her heart pound in her chest. The background rippled ominously, and an unsettling voice whispered from behind her, "We've been waiting for you." Amelia's heart dropped as she spun around, adrenaline coursing through her veins. The voice dripped with malice, a chilling echo in the otherwise silent room. She felt it again, the sense of being watched, the presence right behind her making her skin crawl. With trembling hands, her search for the source began. "Hello?" she whispered, voice barely a whisper through the thick tension filling her living room. No answer. Just the soft creaking of her old floorboards beneath her feet, the house surrounding her growing heavier with every blink. She tried to convince herself it was just her imagination playing tricks. But the unease gnawed at her insides like a rat. Then she remembered the mirror. She hurried over to it, the ornate frame gleaming ominously. Its surface shimmered like liquid, images swirling just beneath. Biting her lower lip, she forced herself to look closer. The reflections danced, shadows twisted into figures, haunted faces melting into one another, seeking escape from a torment unseen. As she gazed, a sudden surge of panic ruptured her heart. Those faces were familiar, her neighbors. They emerged from shadows, mouths moving in silent screams. It was a kaleidoscope of terror, each image depicting a moment of desperation and horror. Their eyes screamed for help, but their voices were lost. Clutching her chest, Amelia stumbled back, shaking her head in disbelief. This can't be real, it can't be. Desperation surged. The dolls, the amulet, all tainted with darkness, wasn't it just harmless stuff? But even as her rational mind fought, something primal clawed at her insides. This was no coincidence. Her neighbors had changed, and somewhere, twisted in that darkness, their fates were intertwined with her new treasures. She grabbed her phone, fingers shaking as she typed, Dollar Tree haunting history, expecting the worst. She pushed the screen against her face, searching for answers. A jolt shot through her when she read a passage about cursed relics connected to the dead in the store. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Not typical creaks, but firm, they were purposeful. Amelia froze. It was coming closer, the patter growing louder, creeping toward her. She cursed her own name and dashed to the hallway, a grim determination stealing over her. Those items had drawn darkness, and now that darkness sought her. Tyler! She called out, breath stuttering as she searched his room. Was he safe? Alive? That little boy with his innocent laughter a beacon in the encroaching night. As she swung the door open, it clattered against the wall, revealing an empty room bathed in shadows. Her heart crashed against her rib cage. No signs of Tyler. Panic gripped her. The sound shifted again, something behind her, a soft whisper brushing against her ear. Put them back. Wheeling around, she faced that cracked mirror. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of voices pleading. You must return what you've taken. What had she done? What horror had she unleashed? The thought of losing Tyler strangled her heart as she stumbled backward, nearly tripping over one of the dolls she so carelessly purchased. It grinned up at her, eyes full of knowing malice. No! I won't lose him! Amelia screamed, tears hot on her cheeks. She had to fix this. It was her fault. But could she even reverse it? Could she put the darkness back, or was it already too late? Outside, the wind howled like a wolf, and in the pitch black of the hallway, something moved. Her pulse raced. Amelia had to act, but every second felt like eternity. How deep did this darkness run? Was her son even close to safety? And, as she raced against time, a realization struck with horrifying clarity. What if the item she needed to return wasn't just at the Dollar Tree? What if it was inside her own soul, twisted by fear and desperation? In that moment, the mirror flashed, showing not just an image of her, but of Tyler. Fading, don't leave me! She shouted in desperation. But when she turned, faced with the mask of another shadow emerging from the dark, all hope began to blur into despair. What awaited her in the haunted depths of the Dollar Tree? The darkness thickened in the hallway, wrapping around Amelia like a suffocating shroud. She felt the breath of something cold right behind her, sending icy spikes racing down her spine. The mirror still glimmered, its surface reflecting her panic, but no images of Tyler, now only her own wide, terrified eyes. Please! She gasped, her voice trembling. What do I have to do? A laugh, low and guttural, filled the air, slicing through the tension. It swirled like smoke before dissipating, leaving unease prickling at her skin. The walls themselves seemed to pulse, breathing with a life of their own, trapping her in their sinister embrace. Amelia swallowed hard and took a step forward, heart thudding as she approached the mirror again. Was it truly a portal, or a trick? Was Tyler watching her from some dark corner of existence? With shaking hands, she reached out, fingertips brushing the cool surface. The reflection rippled, then began to shift. No longer her face stared back, but a tableau of her neighborhood. The frantic eyes of her neighbors flitted into view again, twisted in anguish, their mouths still moving, words trapped in silence. A childish giggle echoed through the murky images, chilling her to the bone. "Tyler?" she whispered, the name slipping from her lips like a prayer. The mirror darkened further, transforming into a swirling abyss. A flash of movement caught her eye, a small figure darting past the images of the neighbors. It was him, her son! He was seeking a way out, his back to her, the innocent trust in his small frame a stark contrast to the hellish backdrop. Amelia slammed her palm against the mirror, desperate. "Turn around, Tyler!" Those whispers, the voices grew louder, a relentless barrage of pleas that overlapped, drowning out her own voice. "Put them back! Return what you've taken!" She felt the weight of the dolls pressing on her, their stares now accusatory, each one a mocking reminder of her folly. The one she had held most dear, with its stitched smile and button eyes, seemed to shift, tilting its head as if regarding her knowingly. "No!" she cried and ripped the dolls from their places, throwing them against the wall where they shattered like porcelain dreams, disgust washing over her. "I wouldn't let this happen!" The sound of shattering glass echoed, the noise unsettling in the claustrophobic tightness of the hallway. In her frantic action, Amelia felt a warmth spread through her hands, a surge of power mingled with fear. "Mommy!" Tyler's voice squeaked from the mirror, panic straining his words. "Help me!" Fresh terror flooded through Amelia. It was real, he was in there. Summoning every ounce of courage, she hurled her arm into the mirror, a rush of icy dread engulfing her, as she felt her fingers slip into the cool void. Something gripped her wrist from within, a cold, unseen force pulling her into those vast shadows, pulling her into the darkness she had invited. She fought against it, clawing at her surroundings, but it was like breaking through water, impossible, threatening to drown her. Then another voice broke through the chaos. "You must return the amulet." She couldn't stop now. Her son needed her. With a fierce growl, Amelia twisted her body, wrenching her way forth. She could sense Tyler, closer now, his presence buzzing in the air. Was there a way to save him, to save them both? "Hold on, Tyler!" she screamed, despair coiling around her. The air crackled with energy, shadows darting around as an unforgiving pull drew her in deeper. But just as the connection to her son's fading voice seemed to solidify, darkness erupted. It engulfed her, crashing down like an avalanche, sealing her fate. In the distance, the haunting laughter echoed, "You'll never escape," as it enveloped her, the mirrors shattered, shards splintering the air, and suddenly, she was left in eerie quiet. Could she still save Tyler? Or had she broken their bond forever? A new horror began to unfurl. Amelia's breath caught in her throat as the silence swallowed her whole. No sound echoed, no whispers reached out from the shadows. She stood alone, the remnants of shattered glass scattered at her feet, glinting like malevolent stars. "Tyler!" she called again, her voice wavering in the oppressive stillness. But the only reply was the echo of her own desperation reverberating back at her. What had happened? The air felt thick, almost viscous, laden with an unspeakable tension. She raised her hand to her face, feeling the cool sweat trickling down her brow. Panic surged through her, gnawing at her sanity. Was this the end, or merely a terrifying beginning? The oppressive darkness seemed to pulse, creeping into the corners of the room. She pressed her back to the wall, feeling the rough texture against her skin, grounding her as uncertainty swirled chaotic thoughts in her mind. A fleeting thought crossed her, a memory of the amulet, glimmering in the attic, surrounded by the very dolls she had just destroyed. "No, no," she muttered, wrapping her arms around herself, blocking the suffocating dread that clung to her. Then, from somewhere deep within the dimness, a child's giggle echoed, eerily familiar and impossibly wrong. It was followed by a soft whimper, and Amelia's heart twisted sharply. "Tyler! Mommy!" The voice broke the stillness, filled with fear and confusion. It pierced through the darkness, dragging Amelia's attention like a moth to a flame. Where was it coming from? She took a hesitant step forward, the floor creaking ominously underfoot. The shadows seemed to twist and curl, forming shapes that danced just out of her sight. Every nerve in her body screamed at her to turn back, but she wouldn't leave Tyler behind. Moving slowly, she followed the sound, each heartbeat a drum of dread. With every passing moment, the dark became denser, as if it were alive, retreating only to pounce at her heels. Another laugh, this time echoing distinctly in her mind. "Come play with us," Amelia stumbled, her stomach churning with fear. "No! What do you want from us?" she cried out, her voice tearing from her throat, desperation lacing each word. Silence. Just as panic threatened to overwhelm her, she spotted a glimmering light, the faint shimmer of an ancient object peeking through a crevice in the wall. Her instincts surged. Was it the amulet? The very item that might bridge the gap between this world and whatever realm had entangled Tyler? With trembling fingers, she clawed at the space, ripping away shadows that attempted to hold her back. It felt like resisting the tide. The air crackled again, a static energy crawling across her skin. In her frenzy, she yanked it free, the amulet. It was cold, strangely alive in her palm, pulsating with an unsettling rhythm that matched her heartbeat. "Is this what you want?" she shouted into the abyss. "Will it bring him back?" But the shadows only thickened. The laughter bubbled up once more, sinister and mocking. "Leave him, let him stay," the voices chanted, growing louder until they became a cacophony of wails and screams, drowning out her protests. "And no! I want tea! Not again!" Amelia roared, gripping the amulet tightly, power flooding through her veins. She took a step closer, determined to push through to wherever Tyler was trapped. Her body quaked with fear and resolve as she felt the presence looming, closing in on her from all sides. "Tyler!" she cried again, her voice now a commanding force. Suddenly, all went still. "Mommy?" A small voice, so bright against the darkness, emerged from the void. With renewed vigor, Amelia pressed forward. "I'm coming, sweetheart. Hold on." But as she advanced, the shadows gathered more resolutely, a wall of black viscera, twisted faces surfacing through the murk. They threatened to envelop her whole, spewing hushed whispers ominously. In the dim light of hope, would she find her son or be consumed by the darkness that craved them both? The terrible laughter resumed, echoing louder, making her heart race with dread. The presence of the amulet weighed heavily, and as Amelia braced herself at the edge of the abyss, she faced a decision that could change everything: plunge into the depths of the unknown to save her son, or watch helplessly as the darkness tore them apart. And in the heartbeat that followed, the shadows grinned, waiting to see if she dared step over the line. Amelia felt the shadows constrict around her, a living entity hungry for her despair. The amulet pulsed in her grip, swelling with energy that surged through her veins. Every whisper, every laugh, clawed at her sanity, promising untold horrors if she dared to stay, yet surrendering to the darkness was not an option. She had to push through. "Tyler!" she cried, stepping forward with desperate determination. The floorboards creaked ominously beneath her weight, almost as if warning her to turn back. But no, she wouldn't relent. The air thickened, stifling her breath, solidified by fear and something darker, something insatiable. As if sensing her resolve, the walls began to close in, pressing her toward the crevice from which the glow beckoned. Shadows flared, stretching their sinewy limbs towards her like grasping hands, but she kept the amulet aloft, its vibrations echoing through her bones. Suddenly, the laughter of children rose again, a chilling chorus reverberating against the walls. "Come play with us," they sang, the words dripping with malice. "Not my son!" Amelia shot back, her tone laced with fury and heartbreak. "Let him go!" But the shadows only laughed, weaving around her like smoke. A cacophony of voices intertwined, speaking in hushed tones. "Mommy, come home," they morphed into Tyler's voice, mingling with the twisted melody of laughter, straining at the edges of her mind. What if he wasn't even here? What if she never found him? Panic squeezed her heart, forcing her to swallow back bile. The shadows pulsed, drawing her closer to the void, and with a sudden surge of adrenaline, she leapt forward, grasping the light at the crevice. But the amulet slipped from her fingers, clattering against the floor. The moment it fell, the light flickered, shadows surging to snuff it out. "Tyler!" she screamed in a raw, primal wail, lunging towards her son. In that instant, the shadows unleashed their true power, swirling rapidly, blocking her path. Faces emerged, grotesque, twisting visages, whispering taunts and threats. "You seek him? He belongs to us now." Amelia stumbled backward, terror clawing at the back of her throat. Memories fought against her consciousness, twisting into images of lifeless dolls and echoing laughs. This can't be happening. A sudden burst of clarity surged within her. The amulet! If it was a bridge, she could use it. She jumped back, reaching for the fallen object, fingers brushing the cold surface. The moment she grasped it, she felt a surge of heat radiate power flooding her senses as she commanded the dark. "With this amulet, I will reclaim my son!" The words exploded from her mouth like a battle cry. The shadows recoiled, voices howling in pain. "No! You cannot control us!" But the amulet glowed brighter, illuminating the room and banishing the darkness, even if only temporarily. She wheeled around, eyes scanning the dimness for any sign of Tyler. "I'm here for you. I won't let you go." The laughter morphed into howls of despair, and she felt the weight of countless eyes upon her. The shapes intertwined, desperately pulling at her energy. Time was running out. She could feel the amulet draining her strength, yet she pressed on, determined. "Tyler! Answer me!" And then, through the cacophony, she heard it, the soft, trembling whisper of her son. "Mommy? Where are you?" A glimmer of hope sparked within her, but before she could respond, the shadows reformed around her, a visceral wave of terror drowning out her resolve. It pressed in tight, suffocating as the laughter grew louder and more deranged. What if she couldn't reach him in time? What if she was trapped here, lost in a nightmare forever? "Stay back!" she shouted as terror washed over her, but the shadows surged, enveloping her, the chilling voices now a single, twisted harmony chanting her demise. And then everything went dark in that suffocating blackness. A new fear gripped her. Was it too late for Tyler? Questions swarmed her mind like a storm. Were the shadows feeding on her despair, preparing to devour him too? The amulet's glow flickered, dimming as the laughter surged back. What awaited her in this sinister darkness? Would she find Tyler, or were they both doomed to linger in this wretched realm forever? Amelia gasped, consciousness tapping at the edges of her mind like a cold hand. Her heart raced as she slowly began to register her surroundings. Dark, heavy, and claustrophobic. The shadows twisted around her, smothering all traces of light, but the amulet pressed against her palm, a small warmth amidst the suffocating chill. "Tyler!" she called again, voice echoing in the stagnant air. She strained her ears for the faintest reply, fear sparking in her chest. "Where are you?" The silence was oppressive, a thick layer of dread smothering her spirit. Trembling, she pushed against the shadows, forcing her way forward. Each step felt like wading through molasses, the darkness pulling her with malevolent intent. The laughter faded momentarily, replaced by a sinister whisper that stalked her thoughts. "You can't save him, he's ours." "No!" Amelia shouted defiantly, though doubt tangled with her fear. The memory of Tyler's laughter filled her mind, but the warmth faded, replaced by haunting echoes of desolation. Suddenly, a flicker of movement drew her attention. She squinted into the black, feeling her heart thump in her throat. Was it him? Tyler? The shadows receded just slightly, and she thought she saw a silhouette, small, vulnerable. Hope rose like a wave, drowning out despair. "Mommy?" The voice was faint, barely above a whisper, yet it felt like a lifeline. "Help me hold on, baby. I'm coming." She lunged forward, adrenaline fueling her every step, but the shadows recoiled, snapping at her heels, refusing to let go of their prize. A surge of rage ignited within her. She raised the amulet high, the familiar pulse vibrating fiercely in sync with her heartbeat. "Leave him alone!" The shadows writhed, faces emerging, twisting into grotesque shapes that twisted her stomach. "You think you can defy us?" The voices, once a jarring cacophony, now sighed with unsettling patience. He is part of our world now. You will never reach him. Why are you doing this? Amelia screamed. A chilling laugh echoed, and the darkness pressed harder around her, suffocating. You will feel the anguish he felt, the despair that brought him to us. The whisper clawed at her resolve, planting seeds of doubt. Images flooded her mind, Tyler alone, frightened, lost in this nightmare. No! Amelia shouted as she pushed through the biting reality. I want to give in! With renewed determination, she clutched the amulet fiercely, its glow flaring back to life. Scratches of light pierced the surrounding dark, illuminating the grotesque faces just long enough for her to see the malice in their eyes. They recoiled at the brightness, shrieking like a swarm of enraged wasps. Boom! The shadows writhed, the air crackling with energy as Amelia blasted forward, fueled by the raw power coursing through her. Let him go! But the laughter returned, mocking, rising like a tempest. You will suffer, just as he has suffered. You cannot escape. In a haze of desperation, she saw him again, a flicker of Tyler huddled in despair, staring back at her with wide, frightened eyes. Mommy, he whimpered, reaching towards her through an expanse of darkness. Tyler! Amelia's breath hitched. She felt her heart splinter. The amulet's glow brightened, illuminating a path against the encroaching dark. Yet, as she advanced, the shadows surged back, clawing at her with cold grips that sent icy tendrils up her spine. Come home, Mommy, the haunting voices urged, melding into a cacophony of the life she had tried to leave behind. Come to us, N.O. Amelia yelled through tears of frustration and fear, every beat of her heart a reminder of the child she desperately sought. I will save him! For a brief moment, the shadows paused, uncertainty rippling through the darkness. Had she broken their hold? But then, the fear returned, raw and suffocating. The whispers morphed into a roar, drowning her in despair. Join us! They yelled, as the darkness thickened once more. In that moment, the amulet's light flickered, dimming in intensity. Desperation clawed at her voice, filling the air with frantic energy. Please let him go! And then, as shadows closed all around, a distant sound echoed, a child's cry, followed by a voice so faint it was nearly lost. Help me, Mommy! A new terror twisted within her. They weren't just shadows, they were feeding off their fear. In her quest to save Tyler, had she become part of them? I'm coming! Amelia shouted, thrusting the amulet forward, preparing for the onslaught of anguish that would come. But as she braced herself for battle, a sliver of shadow warped around her foot, anchoring her to the ground. Would she fall into darkness, or could she pull herself and Tyler back into the light before it was too late? A chilling scream echoed through the void, one that cracked her resolve as the shadows swirled, determined to drag her deeper into their grasp. Could she break free? Was there any hope left before the final whisper of despair consumed them both? Amelia felt the cold tendrils wrap tightly around her ankle, anchoring her deeper into the abyss. Panic surged through her veins, thrumming like a wild bird desperate to escape. The darkness pulsed, almost alive, eager to swallow her whole. Tyler! I want to let them take you! She shouted, her voice breaking under the weight of the shadows. With every ounce of strength, she yanked her foot free, fueled by the thought of him. Mommy! Came the whisper again, distinct yet fading, as if being snatched away by unseen hands. Her heart ached, a bitter ache that twisted in her chest. I can't hold on. The amulet glowed, a beacon in the treacherous dark. It surged with power, sending a wave of warmth throughout her body. She clutched it tightly, forcing her trembling hands to steady. I'm coming for you, Tyler. Just hold on. The ominous laughter swelled within the shadows, drowning her resolve. You think you can save him? You're too late. Amelia gritted her teeth. No! I will not accept that. Raising the amulet high, she squeezed her eyes shut, focusing on the glowing warmth, molding it into a shield against the despair that clawed at her. The shadows shrieked in fury, recoiling as the brightness splashed over them. Get back! She yelled, charging through with renewed fervor. But it felt like running against a tide that threatened to wash her away. Each step was met with resistance, a tug here, a pull there. The shadows twisted, elongating, wrapping around her wrists and pulling her down, as if trying to drag her into their cold, unforgiving embrace. Let him go! He is innocent! Her voice echoed, swallowed by the darkness, swallowed by the very same shadows that sought to claim her. The laughter heightened, a cacophony drowning her spirit. Innocence? They don't understand the darkness, just as you don't. We have always existed an echo of every fear, every regret. They long for the light, but they thrive in the dark. Shut up! She screamed, the words breaking from a place deep inside, furious and desperate. Suddenly, a faint flicker caught her gaze. Something was moving among the shadows. Was it just another trick, or could it be Tyler? She took a cautious step forward, her breath caught in her throat. Tyler! If that's you, let me see you! The movement shifted again. But this time it wasn't just a silhouette. It was a hand, small, reaching out. Mommy, please. Hold on, sweetie. Unyielding determination surged within her. With a fierce thrust of the amulet, she broke free from the grasp of the shadows, surging forward. Light spilled from the amulet like liquid fire, illuminating the area around her. For every ounce of fear, I will return love, she cried, her voice steady and powerful. The shadows hesitated, as if momentarily stunned by her fierce declaration. Perhaps they hadn't expected such defiance, such courage. But as she drew nearer, dread clawed at her heart. The closer she got, the more the shadows thickened, swirling violently around her as if sensing her approach. Foolish woman! They screeched, voices blending into a terrifying choir of whispered threats. You think you can escape us? We will consume the very essence of your hope. The amulet dimmed momentarily, the glow flickering under the barrage of despair. No, no, Tyler! But just as despair threatened to swallow her whole, something inside her sparked a fragment of joy mixed with fear, the strength of a mother's love. In that moment, she harnessed it, transforming it into a fierce wave of light. Together, Tyler! We can break free! A sudden stillness enveloped the shadows. They shrank back, hissing like vapor, and the brightness from the amulet pulsated stronger than ever. The shadows ripped away, revealing the silhouette of her son. Yet, before she could reach him, a deep rumble surged through the ground, and the ethereal laughter swirled back, loud and mocking. Do you think this is the end? This is just the beginning. The real game starts now. The ground trembled beneath her feet. As the shadows lunged for them both, Tyler's wide eyes filled with fear, and Amelia screamed, "Hold on!" Would they break free together, or was the real terror only beginning? The shadows seemed all too eager to prove their point as the darkness closed back in, drowning her hopes yet again. Amelia's world warped, the shadows thrumming like a living creature intent on their feast. She felt a tugging pain at her core, as if the darkness was trying to siphon away her very soul. They were close now, the unseen voices echoing a cacophony of fear. No! She cried, a new surge of defiance coursing through her veins. The amulet pulsed, fiery and brave against the cold that threatened to snuff it out. She thrust it forward, and a furious light erupted, slicing through the shadows. But the darkness was relentless. It twisted, morphing into grotesque shapes that danced and writhed as if taunting her. Each laugh sent shivers down her spine, ripping her focus. We will break you. You won't succeed. Your son is already ours. Shut up. The command tore from her throat, raw and primal. The shadows recoiled in surprise, but just as quickly surged again, a tide of darkness surging towards her. They clawed at her sanity, each whisper eroding her confidence. Amelia's heart raced. She couldn't think of defeat. She couldn't let Tyler down. I will find you, my love! I will not let them win! With each word, she felt the strength of her resolve weave into the amulet, igniting it into a brilliant blaze that illuminated the horrifying landscape. As she advanced, the creature's laughter morphed, becoming anguished cries, gurgling in agony as the light seared away their edges. Beneath the surface, she could sense the surprise, the fear. For what was darkness without its victim? But just ahead, the shadows shifted again, forming a swirling vortex, a portal. Amelia squinted into the blackness, seeking Tyler within, searching for his light amidst the despair. Tyler! Can you hear me? A small flicker sparked in the void, dim but distinct. Mommy! The sound sent shards of hope piercing through her heart, fighting against the fear. I can't hold on. Just hold on a little longer, sweetie. I'm coming. She lunged forward, every muscle screaming as she pushed against the weight of despair. Suddenly, the ground beneath her trembled violently, shaking with a malevolent pulse. The shadows laughed again, their collective voice growing louder, more threatening. You really think you can save him? This is the darkness that binds you, and you will never escape. With a howl of fury, she pressed on, her body moving on instinct. The world blurred around her, each step heavier than the last. Her muscles screamed, but her spirit burned bright. Just as she reached the edge of the swirling maw, a cold grip latched onto her wrist. A figure emerged, ragged and hollow-eyed, wreathed in gloom. Join us, Amelia, it wheezed, its voice chillingly familiar and wrong. Embrace the darkness. Save yourself? Tyler! No! Panic raged through her like wildfire, swelling her instincts. She felt the grip tighten as terror slashed at her mind. Let me go! Suddenly, a flash of memories overruled her fear, the laughter, the warmth of Tyler's hugs, the light shining on his face when they played together at the park, their evenings painted with joy. No! The word exploded from her, raw and jagged. She squeezed the amulet tight, focusing on the memories, igniting them within her. I will not lose you! The light burst outward, blinding in its intensity. Shadows shrieked, dissolving under her furious love. The figure faltered, letting out a cry as it shrank back, despair overtaking its malevolence. But as Amelia pushed forward, she felt the weight of the shadows shift once more, coiling around her midsection. The atmosphere became thick, charged with a palpable malevolence, as the laughter rose a final time. You can't escape us forever, we will always be here, waiting for you to falter. The world swirled as she slipped into the vortex. The last image burned into her mind, the face of her son, twisted in fear. Desperation clawed at her chest. Would she reach him in time, or would darkness swallow them both? As she spiraled deeper, the shadows drew closer, whispering promises of her worst fears, the amulet fading in her grasp, light dwindling with every pulse. Amelia tumbled into a world of chaos. The vortex spat her onto hard, cold ground. Darkness clung to her like a wet shroud, suffocating and pervasive. She gasped for breath, gasping as her thoughts swirled wildly. Tyler! Her voice cracked, piercing the heavy silence. No answer came, only echoes of her own fear. The shadows that had engulfed her rumbled to life, coiling around her like serpents. Each movement sent waves of dread rippling through her. She saw shapes shifting in the darkness, the same shapes that had haunted her before, mocking her with their twisted visages. You're trapped now. A voice slivered through the air, smooth and sickly sweet, taunting her. With us forever? Amelia gritted her teeth, shaking off the fear that tried to wrap around her mind. No! Her voice was louder this time, cutting through the gloom. I will find him! She forced herself to rise even as the ground quaked beneath her feet, a mockery of her resolve. The shadows leapt forward, claws gnashing, pushing against her. She stumbled back, arms flailing, trying to regain her balance. Panic flared in her chest, heavy and cold. You won't take him from me? The amulet hung limply in her hand, its glow now almost a whisper. Desperation clawed at her throat, choking her determination. But even in despair, she recalled the warmth of Tyler's laughter, the way his eyes sparkled like stars on a clear night. Suddenly, the shadows shifted, forming into a grotesque image of her son, his face a jumbled mess of sadness and fear. Mommy, help me! A spear of anguish pierced her heart. Tyler! She lunged toward the vision, but the darkness tangled in her limbs, yanking her back with force, dragging her into a deeper abyss. Join us, Amelia, the voices echoed, a chorus of temptation and despair. Your love is weakness. Embrace the void. Shut up! She screamed, fury igniting within her. You may think you have power over me, but I will not back down. Amelia reached for the amulet again, focusing on the memories, the joy that flickered in her mind like a candle fighting against the wind. She felt the warmth begin to return, a spark igniting within her frigid soul. The amulet resonated with her heartbeats, pulsing with life. She raised it high, demanding the light to shine. I am not afraid. A brilliant surge erupted, a wave of golden light cascading through the darkness, splintering the shadows, turning their gnarled edges to mist. But with each flicker of illumination, the creature's laughter grew, raw and triumphant. You can delay it, but you can't escape. The darkness only grows, a voice whispered from behind. Amelia turned, suddenly aware of movement coiling around the edges of the light. She strained to listen, her heart hammering against her ribs. Tyler? She pleaded, but the name echoed in a hollow chamber of her own mind. A figure limped toward her. Mommy, they're everywhere, he muttered, his eyes stormy. He was thin, his clothes tattered, as if pulled from nightmares. You have to leave. No. We're together now. We'll fight them. Amelia reached for him, the light illuminating the path. But the shadows surged in a tidal wave around them, engulfing Tyler's form. No! She wailed, desperate and frantic. The glowing amulet dimmed, flickering with uncertainty. Come back! Please! As darkness swirled and lunged, it grabbed at their ankles, pulling them apart. The laughter crescendoed into a maniacal symphony, drowning her pleas. Tyler's face melted away, replaced by the grotesque entities laughing at her struggle. You have failed, Amelia. He belongs to us now. A scream tore from her throat, but it was swallowed by the suffocating night. Amelia's body felt heavy, the weight of despair pressing down like a leaden shroud. Just when she thought all hope was lost, another flicker ignited in the distance. Mommy, a faint whisper echoed. Help me! As the shadows gripped tighter, she realized one thing: she had to make a choice. Fight through the darkness or surrender to the void. Which path would she take? For a fleeting moment, she hesitated. In that split second, doubt crept in like a snake. Would she wallow in despair or clutch the hopes still flickering before her? Because even in the darkest moments, there lay a choice. And nothing was certain, not even the shadows that claimed to hold her son. As Amelia braced herself for the fight ahead, the whispers returned with a new threat: you will join us. There is no escape. What awaited on the other side of her very last decision? Amelia felt the oppressive grip of the shadows tightening around her, squeezing the courage right out of her lungs. A deep, primal fear clawed at her heart. But she had chosen. A fierce resolve had surged within her, igniting the last flickers of hope in her soul. Tyler! She screamed, her voice breaking through the blackness like a spear of light. The shadows recoiled momentarily, a flicker of uncertainty rippling through their menacing forms. Mommy, don't give up! His faint voice echoed, drawing her toward the glimmering memory. For a second, she could see him, his face swimming to the surface of her mind, a beacon in the engulfing darkness. She would not let despair consume him. She gripped the amulet tightly, the glow warming her palm. You have no power over us! She yelled, raising it high above her head. The shadows hesitated, their twisting forms warping and colliding with one another, as if feeling its light. You can't stop what's already begun! They shrieked in unison, their words dripping with malice and scorn. No! My love is stronger than your darkness! She roared, summoning every ounce of rage and defiance in her spirit. The amulet pulsed like a heartbeat, illuminating the area around her in a fractal of light that seemed to devour the shadows. With renewed strength, she forged ahead. As she approached the enveloping darkness, she felt her energy meld with the light of the amulet. It swelled, cascading rays of golden brilliance through the tangled shadows. For every inch she moved, darkness shrank back, swirling, hissing in agony, as if they were the very essence of fear itself. Tyler! I'll find you! She shouted again, her voice echoing with an unwavering conviction that sent tremors through her surroundings. She charged into the vortex of shadows, determined. The darkness recoiled, a painful scream erupting like a thunderclap. The grotesque faces twisted and morphed, burdened by the light. "You will pay for this defiance!" they screeched, their voices a howling tempest, echoing her doubts. Amelia pushed through the agony, fear gnawing at her mind, but the vision of her son kept her moving. The amulet shone brighter, guiding her like a lifeline. She caught glimpses of him, fleeting, pale and scared. "Mommy!" he called again, desperation and longing threading through each cry. With every step, the grasp of the shadows lessened. "Let him go!" she cried, unleashing all her fury into the world around her. The shadows writhed, caught off guard by her sheer force. And in that moment of chaos, Tyler emerged from a particularly dark corner of the swirling void. His eyes brimmed with tears but shone with undying hope. "Mommy! Hold on!" she yelled, reaching out blindly. The shadows lurched forward, attempting to intercept their connection, their shrill laughter echoing with victorious glee. "Join us, little boy! Join the darkness!" they called, and Amelia could see the desperation swell in Tyler's small face. "Please! Stay with me!" she cried, a raw ache tearing through her. Suddenly, her heart surged, the connection between them strengthened. The amulet exploded with light, casting away the shadows closing in around her. "I'm here! I believe in you!" she shouted, the words spilling out like an incantation against the darkness. Tyler reached for her. "I'm scared, Mommy, help me!" The words tore through her, igniting every fiber in her being. With fierce determination, she charged toward him. The shadows screeched as they were blasted away, each wave of light charring the very essence of darkness itself. It was as if she was traversing a battleground on the cusp of war, a duel against despair. "Don't let go!" she thundered, stretching out her hand, and with every ounce of power and love, she felt the bond between them tearing at the constraints of fear. "We'll break this together!" He let out a sob, a sound that was both beautiful and heartbreaking. "Mommy!" Just then, the shadows hurled themselves, clawing at her. "No! Don't take him!" she screamed, desperate as she felt the darkness seep back, trying to reach for Tyler again. In that electrifying moment, Amelia's fear ignited into something more, an earthquake of strength fueled by the love for her son. "I've come too far to lose you now!" With a primal roar, she surged forward, amulet alight, and the shadows screamed. In a blinding flash of brilliance, Amelia dove into the shadows, wrapping her arms around Tyler, feeling the icy grip of fear try to claim them. With one last desperate plea, she pressed the amulet into the very core of the darkness, a loud shockwave erupting through the void. "Leave us alone!" The screams intensified, blending into a cacophony of anguish as the light expanded, ripping apart the dark with unfathomable force. Then silence fell like a blanket. The shadows dissipated into wisps of smoke, curling back from the brilliant glow of the amulet. Both Amelia and Tyler stood, embraced in the warmth of light. "Mommy! I was so scared," he whispered, trembling in her arms. "I'm right here, baby. I want to let go." "You're safe now," she soothed, the weight of fear lifting as the shadows shrank into nothingness. In that fragile silence, they emerged from the haunting depths, into a world awash with dawn's gentle light. Amelia blinked against the warm glow, realizing their bond had triumphed over the darkness. The Dollar Tree was gone, replaced by the vibrant colors of dawn life thrumming with promise. Amelia squeezed Tyler tightly, tears sliding down her cheeks, but now they felt like tears of relief, of joy. As they took a step forward together, the light beckoned a fresh start. Shadows no longer loomed overhead, only hope stretched before them, weaving a future brightened by fearless love. This was their new beginning. But now more than ever, they had each other. "Let us go home, Tyler," Amelia whispered, her heart finally at peace. And in that moment, they both knew their story of fear had transformed into one of courage. Now, if you're still with me and love this wild ride, you need to subscribe immediately so you don't miss out on more exclusive tales. Smash that like button now, it fuels the algorithm, and keeps these stories coming your way. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this wild conclusion, because I want to hear every single one. And if you have friends who need to experience this heart-stopping ending, don't wait even one more second to share it with at least 5 of them. Let us keep this amazing community growing together.